Thanks for tuning in to Proline TV. It's the NASCAR starting lineup show as we take a look at Homestead-Miami Speedway, the Straight Talk Wireless 400. We'll look at the speed times. We'll try to figure out what the updated odds are, and we'll also try to figure out whether we've changed our mind from our picks earlier this week when we recorded our show on Tuesday. Of course, that show is already available on the network. You can also check out the link in the description so you can find out what CJ and I had to say in depth about the race. A lot more information than I'm going to give you here today. Also, if you're an F1 fan, we just posted that F1 preview, of course, of the race in China coming up. I guess that's like really late tonight here in the Americas. So let's get right to it. By the way, you can see I'm all ready to go with Ryan Blaney. And I'm also ready to go, you can see over this shoulder here, with my college basketball theme. It's March Madness, so it is what it is. We'll have another March Madness show coming up a little bit later on here on Proline TV with Jim Feist. Here we go, the starting lineup. And look who it is. It's Alex Bowman. And Alex Bowman just keeps churning along. He is a different driver. We saw that late last season. He came really close. He had a good chance to win the championship if it wasn't for the penalty, which also opened the door for Joey Logano to keep rolling along and winning a championship. So Bowman picks up where he left off last year before that penalty, and the only thing he hasn't done is win. But Vegas has kindly made him a long shot every week. And we keep taking him. And one of these weeks, he's going to come through for us. There's just no doubt about it. We had him at 28-1 on Tuesday. And here he does sitting on the pole, feeling as good as we do for picking him. I believe this was CJ's second, or is it my pick? Yeah, I think it was actually my second pick. I had the first pick. I went with Denny Hamlin, Bowman, and AJ. CJ went with Byron Buscher and Noah Gragson, as you can see right there in third place. And there's our long shot winner last week, Josh Berry, sitting in second place. So Josh making us look real smart. So thumbs up to Josh Berry. And Chase Briscoe finally getting in on some action as the lone Toyota in the top four. Now, keep an eye on the Toyotas, though, because that's really the story coming in to this week. And so far, really, even this weekend. Not necessarily in the starting lineup. As we roll down the top 10, there's only two other Toyotas, John Hunter Nemechek and Bubba. But Bubba was the fastest driver in practice. And Bubba was a driver that we talked about the other day as a potential long shot, that this is the type of track that Bubba should do better at. And sure enough, he looks pretty good so far this weekend. I know he's had good weekends before, and it hasn't translated. But I don't really look at those tracks or his types of tracks, at least some of the ones that he's looked good on the weekends. But this one, I have a little bit different feeling about Bubba. And so I think he's a pretty good play depending on what kind of odds you're going to get. You're not getting 45-1 now, but I'm assuming you're still going to get somewhere around 20-1, 25, because he was fastest in practice and top 10 in qualifying. I don't know if it'll go down further than that. But if it gets any lower than that, then I think maybe you just missed a boat. I wouldn't wager on him at, in the teens or anything like that. I'm not sure there's value there. But talking about the rest of the top 10, there's really no distinction for the manufacturers this week. There's no, wow, look at what Chevy did. Look at what Toyota or Ford did. Or look how poorly one of the manufacturers did. We learned nothing in practice in qualifying. I'm sorry, we just didn't. We'll learn something in practice. We'll get to that in just a little bit. As far as the rest of the top 10, Byron, CJ's top pick is there. Blaney, look, we both obviously like Blaney this week. He was one of the favorites at 5-1. The problem is Ryan Blaney can be a streaky driver. And when things aren't going his way, he doesn't usually just snap his fingers and do well. Now he can be okay and do well. And that happened once when he won the Coke 600 a few years ago. And I took him. And I remember that week that he was still kind of a long shot, but I felt good about him. And I can have that kind of feeling with Blaney because he's my favorite driver, and I'm more invested in everything he does more than a driver. So I would hope that I'd have a little bit more of a gut feeling about Blaney. But again, I don't know. I mean, the one thing that I don't like more than anything is that he is still going to be one of the heavy favorites. And because of that, and coming off his last couple of bad performances, Don't know whether or not this is a good week to take him, but he's definitely a top contender, as is William Byron. Again, another one of the favorites at 6-1. Hunter Nemechek is a driver we talked about a few weeks ago. He gets off to a good start, kind of cools off, quiet the last few weeks, but he's back with a 7th place qualifying effort. That's nice to see. Austin Cindric is also coming back again. He's had some good practices and good qualifying sessions lately. He had finally broke through with a top 10 last week. I told you that eventually he was going to have to do that if he was going to prove to me that he was actually going to be able to turn the corner this year and turn into the driver that I believe he can be, the type of top driver he was in the Busch Series, in the Xfinity Series, whatever you want to call it. I'm saying Busch Series because I just finished watching 2 hours of Blink of an Eye, which is just such an awesome documentary. And I just can't recommend it enough if you've never seen it. It's the one about Waltrip, of course, and Dale Jr. It's Dale Earnhardt and Dale Jr. It's just an amazing documentary, and I'm assuming a lot of you guys have seen it. But if you have never seen it before, you're missing out. So check it out. I saw it on Prime Video. I don't know if you can get. Of course, Prime Video is where I also had the opportunity to watch qualifying and practice, and where once I think in May, 1 month this year, we're going to be able to watch NASCAR Cup races, and also they've got the driver videos that I'm going to check out. I haven't been able to check it out because there's so much going on Sundays this time of year. We're going to try to check it out on Sunday and see how that works. But it looks really cool to be able to check out what your favorite driver is doing during the race. All right. Anyway, AJ Allmendinger. This is my long shot pick this week. I wasn't happy with his practice run. Very disappointed. Thought that, well, maybe we've got a problem, but happy to see that he cracked the top 10 here. And I don't know whether or not his odds are going to change much. I think they will a little bit because he was 80-1 on Tuesday. I think they'll come down a little bit, but not enough that if you still want to go with AJ, you can. Or if you're a little bit upset or you're figuring the practice speed is not what you're looking for, I can understand that. But don't forget what happened to Josh Berry last week. Okay. And not that I think that's going to be a trend. But let's just see what happens. Because, again, this is a different type of racetrack, Las Vegas and Homestead. These are like 1.5-mile tracks where there's just a great opportunity with the way that the next-gen car has been hooking up on these tracks for constant passing and lead changes and speed. And it's really a fun race. It's one of the best races of the season. So I'm not sure if it correlates to last week. I think it might. So we'll get into that when we look over the practice speeds coming up in a little bit. All right. As far as the rest of the qualifying runs to go here, Larson, a little bit of a disappointing 14th. And I'm sure everybody's waiting for me to let you know where that line is this week. Well, the line this week is going to be, let's see, where are we putting it? We are going to put the line, I thought I had it right here. Top 12? No. All right, let me just run through this and then we'll figure it out. All right, so the trends at Homestead. Oh, one of the trends that's very interesting. I don't know if you want to go this way. It could be just a coincidence, but this is a good thing. It shows you that anything can happen at Homestead. 9 different race winners the last 9 appearances at Homestead. So which are those drivers? If you want to go down that road. Well, I tell you what, if you want to go down that road, I'm going to give you the drivers, the best drivers based on qualifying and practice to look at then. The ones that have not won during the 9. Bowman, Berry, Gregson, Briscoe, Blaney, Cindric, Wallace, AJ, Buescher. I can't say Elliott because I'm sorry, he just looks too slow. And that's it. So if you're going to go with that trend, go with one of the drivers that I just mentioned. All right. Also, only 3 of the 26 all-time winners at Homestead-Miami Speedway started in the top 15. There's our answer. Okay. So before I draw that line, let's just, I'll show you the rest of the field here because I guess the other disappointing ones would be here. Suarez, 33rd, Kozlowski, 32nd. I'm disappointed in Austin Dillon. I thought he was an interesting long shot at 170-1 because he has had a really fantastic career at Homestead, both in Cup and Xfinity. But let's draw that line right here. Okay. So there's your top 15 based on what we just said. Okay. Again, 3 of 26. Only 3 of 26. Started outside. Did I say outside? Outside the top 15. Okay. And those positions are 22nd, 31st, and 38th. Now, little caveat. Byron won from the 31st position just a few years ago, 2021. It was also a February race. This is the first race in March ever. The other race that is a first that didn't happen in October or November was June of 2020. Denny Hamlin won from the pole that year. So we've had 2 races outside of October and November, 1 from the pole, 1 win from the 31st position. That doesn't tell us a whole lot, unfortunately. But it could be interesting. You know, if this was November again, October, then I'd be religious with these trends. But I think I'm a little bit more open to the possibility of not necessarily drawing that line at 15. All right. So we'll try to figure if there's anyone outside the top 15 that we'd like to roll the dice on. And the other thing to keep an eye on, as I mentioned a little bit before I was going to allude to, is Toyota. Now, Ford is the one that's really in a tough go here. They haven't won here in the last 6 tries. But we've seen Ryan Blaney nearly win here twice the last 2 years. I'm not, and Logano's won here before. So I'm not going to go too much into that. But Toyota, I will. Okay. They've won 4 out of 6. And even though nothing showed up here in qualifying, okay, let's take a look at practice. Oh, it's the same one. Let's take a look at practice. And let's go here to the top 9. Okay. And that is where you see 6 Toyotas. Okay. The top 2, Wallace and Jones, and then Bell, Briscoe, Hamlin, and Reddick. So we have 6 of the top 9 fastest were Toyotas in practice. I think that definitely matters. And that's why I would be, what I would do is if we're going to take a look outside that line, all right, and let's take a look first of all at the other practice speeds here that stick out. Blaney was 12th. Who else sticks out here? Cindric drops to 16. Byron drops to 17. I shouldn't say drop. This was, of course, first, but let's see. Kyle looks too slow so far in both sessions. Buescher, not as fast as his qualifying effort. AJ, as I mentioned, a little bit disappointing. Keselowski, it's just not been a good year for Brad Keselowski. I actually expected him to do pretty well here this week. And if he's not doing well here this week, then he really is, I think, maybe going to have a big, long, disappointing season. But we'll see. Gibbs, not as fast as qualifying. Berry, nowhere near as fast as qualifying, but that's what he did last week. Didn't matter to him. Logano, the same thing, not as fast. Elliott, meanwhile, just not showing anything. A little bit faster, of course, in qualifying, but he's just not showing any speed. So there you go. Those are the practice speeds to check out. Now, here's that line of 15. So let's go outside the line of 15 and see if we can find someone. You might go, oh, it's got Christopher Bell. He's over the Toyota. It's got to be him, right? That's the obvious one. And maybe he is, because if you look at it, he's got the Toyota, yes. If you look at his, where is his history here? It's actually been pretty decent. You're getting 9-1 the other day. And because of his qualifying run here, 16th, you're going to still get good odds. 9, 10, 11, 12-1 on Christopher Bell, you would think. Don't forget, he won here just 2 years ago. And he was 4th last year. So this has been a good track for Christopher Bell. And he's driving a Toyota. Again, I keep saying that. And he had the good run in practice. Now, I guess the one negative, he's one of that 9. It's one of those driver 9s. But I think that's nothing to hang your hat on when you're thinking a race driver this week. Okay. So yes, absolutely. I think Bell is a good play. As long as you're getting the odds that you expect to get, 9, 10, 11-1, Bell is a good one. He might even be the best one. Okay, now the rest of them, Reddick definitely better. In his from his practice run was 9th to 20th here, as you can see. So not so good, but at least he was fastest in the top 10 in practice. He's driving a Toyota. His odds were, I think, where is his odds? Yeah. See, the problem with Reddick is his odds were 5-1. He's the defending champ. He's got to win back-to-back races. That's already hard enough to do. Even though he's been really strong here the last couple of years, he's got the Toyota and all that. And I don't think his odds are going to move much. I just don't see it happening. So I just can't do it. I mean, if you're going to give me better odds, I would consider it. In other words, 7-8-1, but they're not going to do that. Okay. Hamlin. Yes. So Hamlin, definitely. Okay. Now, as I told you, Hamlin was my top pick on Tuesday, and I'm okay. I am, because I was happy to see that his 8th practice speed, he's a Toyota, all of that. So I'm happy with it. He's got 3 career wins here. And he had a great history even before the next gen. That's when all of his wins came. He had 6 poles here in 7 years. So he's had a lot of great history here. And even in the last 3 years since the next gen, he does have 2 top 10s. He did crash once when he led 31 laps a couple years ago. But when he didn't crash, he had some good results, including 3rd last year. So I think Hamlin is excellent if you're going to look at one of the drivers in that situation. The only other one that looks good because of his practice speed would be Jones, Eric Jones. He was 28th in qualifying, 2nd in practice. I just don't see anything in Jones. Nothing particularly popped up regarding his history here. It's not like he's having a good year at all. So I can't do it. Not at 28th, but he's driving a Toyota, and he hasn't won here in the last 9. So it may not be the worst idea for a long shot this week. So that would be it. Bell and Hamlin. Those would be the 2. If you want to go with a driver outside the top 15, you're going to get decent odds. Bell and Hamlin's odds might be pretty similar to what you got on Tuesday. And if that's the case, then I think you're in good shape. Okay. Now, let's go to the drivers inside the top 15 and wrap this all up here. So with the Toyotas, you got Briscoe in 4th. He was 20-1. Now, the thing is Briscoe has not been strong so far at all this year. He's still trying to figure things out, the new team, the new car. That might take a while. So I don't know if this is the week for him to turn it on. But considering he's driving a Toyota, considering he's one of the, if you look at it, there are only 4 drivers that were both top 10s in practice and qualifying, and he's one of them. The others were Bowman, Gregson, and Wallace. Okay, so yes, Briscoe, I think, is a potential play, because as long as you're still getting 20 or 15-1, for some reason those odds drop considerably, like in half, forget it, not interested. But if you're still getting 15 to 20-1 odds, he is in play. I still wonder about him being able to win this early. The new manufacturer, considering nothing's happened so far to show that he's close to winning, that would still be a problem. But at 15 to 20-1, why not? And then the other one that sticks out for Toyota is Wallace, as I said. I still think you're going to get a good number with Wallace, maybe in the 20s, maybe even in 30s. I still think that's possible. But hopefully you grabbed him on Tuesday like I did. And then that's it for that's for the Toyotas, because we can't go in and say take John Hunter Nemechek, even though that would be an awesome story. With the Fords, can Berry win 2 in a row? Bell did it. Anything's possible. He was 30-1. I unfortunately think your time is up, though, if you wanted to go down that Berry bandwagon, because I think they're going to eat up his odds. I really do. He's going to be on the front row. He just won last week. And I just think those odds are going to get dropped. And because of that, I think your chances of taking him in a bargain aspect is gone. So I wouldn't do that. But hey, if you, like I just said with Briscoe, if you get 15-1, 20-1, why not? Not a bad idea, especially if you made money like I did with him last week. Why not? Okay, Gregson, absolutely. So we like Gregson. We think he's going to, from what we've seen this season, we feel like this is going to be a good bounce back season for Gregson. So he's already showing signs. I know they haven't come in the results category yet, but he's showing signs in practice and qualifying. He's got to stay out of trouble and all that. He was really close last week. If nothing happened, there were no incidents late with the car last week, he would have finished potentially in the top 5. He was even a contender to win the race last week. So they're getting close. These are, matter of fact, if you look at it, Gragson is the fastest driver between qualifying and practice this week. Okay. He was 100-1 on Tuesday. We grabbed him, and, we're feeling pretty good about taking him at 100-1 and the position we're in with him right now, which is why you don't want to miss our shows on Tuesday. And look, you don't want to go say, I know it's like an hour show a lot of the times, and maybe you don't want to go through, you don't have the time. And I get that. We do have markers in the video that tell you exactly what we're talking about during the show that week or every week. And if you just want to know what our picks are, just scroll on over to our picks segment and check out our picks, if that's what you want to do. So at least you know what we're talking about on Tuesday each week. Anyway, Gragson, remember, one of the reasons we liked Berry as a long shot last week, how good he was in the Xfinity Series at Las Vegas. 2 wins. Now he's got 3 wins between both series. Well, Gragson, he has a win. That happened in 2022. I believe that was the last time Gragson has seen this track in the Xfinity Series. He dominated that race, leading 127 laps. Then, if you look at his previous 4 races, let's take a crash out of it. The other 3, 5th, 3rd, 4th, and in all of the races, 5 in the Xfinity Series, he's led 335 laps. So this is, without doubt, Gregson's, I mean, maybe there's another one, but I think it's without doubt the best track for Noah Gragson in the Xfinity Series. We haven't seen it yet in the Cup Series, but we didn't see it with Josh Berry either until last week. And don't forget, Berry was up near the front last week, very slow in practice. But Gragson up at the front, not slow at practice. And the 100-1 means you got more wiggle room now. They're going to want to bring those odds down considerably. But because they were 100-1, there's only so much they're going to bring it down, because there's still Noah Gragson, who's never won a race before. So I got to think that they're crazy if they don't give you somewhere around 25-30-1. Okay. If they give you anything under 20-1, I'd be shocked. Now, they've shocked me many times before, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think you're still going to get a decent number on Gragson, but hopefully you took it on Tuesday like we did. And as far as Cindric, he was 45-1. He was under consideration as a long shot by me last week as well. Again, you know how I feel about Cindric this year. He's one of my surprise picks. He's one of my breakthrough drivers. So I was real happy for him to finally get that top 10 last week. And what we talked about, this is very important, is that Cindric does not have a lot of great finishes here in the Cup Series. In 3 series races, just 12th. That's his highest. But he's never qualified better than 26th. So what we said last week on Tuesday, keep an eye on qualifying. If he qualifies really strong, that's an indication that maybe he's got something. And sure enough, he's qualifying in 8th place, 16th in practice. And in 5 Xfinity Series races, he's never finished worse than 10th. He's got a runner-up. He's got 2 other top 5s, and he's led nearly 200 laps in that series. So I think Cindric at 45-1 on Tuesday, I honestly think you're probably still going to get 30-1. So I still think you're going to get a good number on Cindric. He should still be a good play. And AJ, even though he's my long shot, I'm not too worried about the practice speed, to tell you the truth. So I still feel good about AJ. I don't think those odds are going to drop considerably. I think she's still going to get somewhere around 40-1, 50-1. I'd be kind of surprised if you got anything worse than that. And don't forget AJ with 6 top 10s and 3 top 5s and 13 career races at Homestead. He's never won a lap. That's a little bit disappointing. But in his 3 races with the next gen, he's finished 8th, 5th, and 3rd. And that 3rd place finish, he started 10th. It's the only time he's ever qualified better than or in the top 20. And that was in 2022. So I think he is still a good play because the odds are still going to be in your favor. And overall, we're going to finish with the driver. Well, I tell you what, let's just a couple more. Busher, As I said, that's CJ's, because I know CJ's gone with Busher several times this season. And once again, that's the second pick this week. He'll start 11th, 22nd in practice. Okay. He was 45-1. Busher is a driver that has never had a top 10 here in 9 races. And he's only led a lap in 1 race. And that was 21 when he led 57. Hasn't led a lap in his last 3 in the next gen. Has 2 top 15s, which is okay. But CJ still likes Busher. You can check out the video. He'll explain to you why. So not the worst position at all for Busher. Logano, 12th, also not the worst position at 16-1. But that practice speed was really off. So that can't be something positive. He does have 1 win, Logano, over 16 races, but he hasn't led a lap in the next gen car and only has 1 top 10. So I'm not really thrilled about where Logano is. Gibbs, we can't really talk about. Larson, though, if you look at him, and I've already mentioned Kyle. I don't like him this week. Didn't like him on Tuesday. So and Elliott, same thing. Can't go with him. I know there's a lot of Elliott fans out there. So just to explain, he was 11-1 earlier this week, but he only has 3 top 5s and 9 Homestead races. One of them was last year. He was very good here last year, or just a few months back, when he led 81 laps. But that was from the 7th position. And I don't know. I needed to see something better than this for me to actually get into him. But this just doesn't excite me at all. Nothing looks good from what I've seen from him today. And Larson, if you look at him, he was, of course, the main favorite. I don't think that's changing. He's still going to be 4-1, 5-1. But would you take him then? 14th qualifying? Yes. 3rd in practice is what you want to see. So that's why his odds aren't going to change. But Larson's trying to buck a trend here. And we've talked about this is the inconsistency of Kyle Larson. He has not finished in the top 10 in 3 consecutive Cup races since 2023. Okay, he's coming into this race, back-to-back top 10s. He needs to make it 3 straight. If he could do it this week, we'll see if he could break that trend. I don't know. You're talking about someone that is a 4-1 favorite from Tuesday, and I don't think those odds are changing. And he's only won once in 11 races. And in the last 2 races since his win in 2022, when he dominated here, he finished, actually started 5th, led 96 laps in the race after in 2023, but got involved with a wreck. And last year started 2nd. I don't think he even led a lap and finished 13th. So he's just overvalued here. And if you're going to take anybody in this spot, I personally would just say, go take Blaney. Again, last year, 2nd. Year before that, 2nd. Always top 10 in his 4 Xfinity Series races. So the only thing you have to keep in mind with Blaney is those races the last 2 years were in the playoffs. They were big races. It's when Blaney's at his best towards the end of the season. That's something that I also took into effect. But my point is, if you're going to take a driver with a low odds like that, I'd rather just go with Ryan Blaney and then make it 10 drivers to win at Homestead in the last 10. I really serious, much rather do that. All right, now the last one we're going to go into is Bowman, the one we started with. Bowman does not have like a great history here, but he does have 3 top 10s in 9 career races, and they have come in the last 3 years with the next gen car. He finished 7th last year, 9th in 2022, and he is just on a roll. As I said, what are the odds probably going to be? That's going to be tricky. I hope you could still get around 12 to 15-1. And you might be able to get that because Vegas seems to disrespect Alex Bowman. So I would take him. Now, if it's going to be down to some crazy number, then no, I probably would not even take him in the single digits myself because he hasn't won yet. And he's not a driver that wins a lot. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you took advantage of him like we did earlier in the week, but I still think you might be able to get a decent number on Bowman, enough that he still should be a good play for you coming up tomorrow. And that is going to wrap it up here for our starting lineup report. Homestead-Miami Speedway, Straight Talk Wireless 400. Next week, or coming up Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever we record our show, Kevin Rogers is stepping in for CJ. He's in England this week, visiting his mom. So no CJ we're doing next week. So Kevin Rogers is going to come on in and check things out. So it should be an interesting show. Obviously, I've never done a show with Kevin, NASCAR show with Kevin before. Never done any show with Kevin, just me and Kevin talking about anything. So it should be a lot of fun, maybe, but I hope it is. One thing's for sure, we're going to get someone else's opinion, and that's always good. And you can check out Kevin's take on this race, including his picks, on the video with the link in the description of this video. And every week when he posts his NASCAR preview and picks videos every Friday. So check those out. And that'll do it. Again, thanks for tuning in to our show. Again, subscribe. That's very important as far as basically supporting our channel. Is the best way you can do that. And if you haven't subscribed before, please do that. We'd appreciate it. And that'll keep us going, that's for sure. And also, let us know what's on your mind. Let us know who you like. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, get the ball rolling. Start a dialogue in our community. That would be great. And again, have a really good race tomorrow. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's an awesome race. I'm expecting another awesome Homestead-Miami race. I hope we get it. Hope we don't get no yellow cautions to win at the end. But I'm just looking forward to a really good one tomorrow, and I hope it will be. And we'll see you guys next week.